What I want to do is, I want to set you guys loose with another data set. And I want you to be able to construct the 5-number summary, a box and whisker plot, all that stuff on your TIs with a histogram with it. The data you already have on your data sheet, and it's very fitting on a day like today. So if you look at your data sheet, I think I may have 1 or 2 more of those up here if anybody needs them. Anybody still need a data sheet? We're getting to the end of our lifespan with these. You want Patrick? Oh. So we've been using the front page of this data sheet quite a bit. Flip one over to the back. This is cumulative snowfall amounts from every winter in Bend on record from 1927 to the winter that started last year. Okay? So this is winter starting in 2012. I haven't counted this winter yet because A, it hasn't started, and B, God knows what's going to happen with it. So what I want to do is I want to try to get an idea about a claim that I always get told. I've been here 10 years. I've been here through this block of time right about here. And I keep being told about how the winters used to be so much worse than they are now. So much worse than they are now. I remember days when there were just feet of snow on the sidewalk, and LaWanda saying, yeah, it was like that, So I want to test that claim and see if I can see anything about that claim if winters were actually worse, say 10, 20, 30 years ago than they are now in this spike in time. Now here's the deal. What you're going to do is you're going to treat this as your population from which you're going to sample. And this is going to take some doing, so I made an in-class quiz for us to do on this. And I've put them down somewhere. Maybe over here. Yes. An in-class quiz is just like a quiz you do out of class. We haven't done one of these yet, have we? Except you pair off with someone and we do it together and you all get 10s on it. Because we all talk about the answers before you turn them in. So, the reason I like this is it makes you get into your TI and do some sampling, some random number generation and some sampling. And I think, did I put maybe... Yeah, somewhere on there some interesting stuff about randomization. So if you want, you can totally do this by yourself. If you want, you can also pair up with somebody, and that way you can split the duties, because one of you is probably going to want to look at the graph and pull data off of it while the other one's generating random numbers in their TI. Does that make sense? So if you want to split up with somebody, by all means do it. If you want to work by yourself, that's fine too. So just grab however many quizzes you need. You're welcome. Before you start work on this though, after every group or individual has their quiz, just hang tight 1 second because I want to make sure that there's a potentially confusing part of this quiz and I don't want to get anybody uber confused. It shouldn't be, but if you're reading kind of quickly through it, you might miss this part. I want to make sure you don't miss it because it throws off your data if you do. Bueno. So like I said, pair off if you want to. Just make sure if you pair off that all your names at the top so I can give you a credit in the grade book for the perfect 10 on your quiz.
Patrick, do you want just one from
one quiz from each group for sure. Just make sure both of your names are on top of it. And if you want to keep that paper for a reference, that's fine. If you want to just have a paper for reference, but just turn in one for each group. Okay. So yeah, you're turning in one quiz for each group if you guys are paired off, or one quiz by yourself if you're not. Here's the only thing that sometimes confuses folks. I want to make sure I verbalize it. In the instructions on step 7, it says, and don't go to this right now as far as plugging on your TI, we'll get to that. It says enter 1927, then a comma, then your second year. Now if you look at that screen that's right next to that, the second year is 2009. That's because when I typed this quiz, it was 2009. And the chart that I just gave you only went to 2009. I update every year, I update the snowfall totals. But rather than taking new screenshots every single time, I just leave the old screenshot on there. You guys will not put in 2009, you'll put 2012 in. You guys will put in 2012, not 2009, because your data now goes all the way to 2012. So it starts at 1927 for sure.
Into 2011.
It goes to 2012, but you just can't see it.
Right, the last data point. Yeah, thank you, Nick, thank you. If you look at the graph, the last number you see is 2011, but that's because 2012 didn't fit. So it goes out to 2012. 2011 is the last one permanently labeled by a text. So you guys will have 2012, and if you get 2012, just realize it's that last dot out there. Is that cool? That makes sense? So that's everything else. Everything else is bomb-proof. have you have at it, take some time. It's probably gonna take you a while to get through this. And then at the end of the day, or at the end of the activity, I'm gonna have you guys put your results on the board all together. And that's what I wanna see. So you guys take your time and work through it.